What if I told you a wife was hired to kill her own husband? It sounds insane, right? Yet it happened. Picture a life consumed by greed and betrayal, a twisted plot where love turned to murder for money. The wife, she was desperate, a victim of abuse and addiction, trapped in a nightmare, but she wasn't alone. Someone close to the victim orchestrated this chilling plan. Why would anyone hire a hitman? The motivations are darker than you think. Financial struggles, marital issues, and a desperate need for escape drove these people to commit a crime that would forever change their lives. Imagine the psychological profiles of these key players, each struggling with their own demons. Their stories intertwine, creating a perfect storm of tragedy and manipulation. The more you dig, the murkier it becomes. Secrets and lies swirl around, making it difficult to discern right from wrong. This is not just about murder, it's about the fragility of human nature. The husband? He had secrets too, dark ones that played a part in his demise. As the wife's desperation peaked, she became a pawn in a deadly game. The person who hired her exploited her vulnerabilities, showing just how low someone can sink. The day of the murder was ordinary. The husband went about his routine, blissfully unaware. But the wife was a bundle of nerves, waiting for the right moment. In the hours leading up to the murder, her anxiety was palpable. Picture a ticking time bomb seconds away from detonation, too late for second thoughts. The plan was in motion, no turning back now. After the crime, the consequences hit hard. Guilt and paranoia clawed at her sanity. She was alone, abandoned by the person who set it all in motion. Today, she sits behind bars serving a life sentence. The mastermind? Also caught and locked away. Justice? Well, it's a complex web too. This case teaches a harsh lesson about the fragility of trust. The allure of greed can turn loved ones into enemies. The chilling reality? This happens more than you think. How far would you go for money? What drives a person to such extremes? Strap in, because true crime often hides in plain sight. Would you trust the person next to you, or has the darkness already claimed them? Think about it and share your thoughts below. But let's peel back the layers even further. What led this wife down such a dark path? It's important to understand the context of her life. She grew up in an environment that normalized violence and deceit. From a young age, she learned that love was conditional and trust was a luxury she could not afford. Her marriage became a reflection of her past, a cycle of pain that she felt powerless to escape. The manipulator, a person who preyed on her vulnerabilities, they offered her a way out, a chance to break free from her torment, but in reality, they were weaving a web of deceit that would ensnare them both. As she contemplated the act, she was flooded with conflicting emotions: fear, anger, desperation, but also a twisted sense of relief. The thought of freedom danced tantalizingly close. But murder is not an act that can be taken lightly. It's a decision that reverberates through the lives of all involved, creating ripples that can never be undone. Once the act was committed, the reality set in. She had crossed a line from which there was no return. The guilt began to gnaw at her, a relentless beast that would not let her rest. She tried to convince herself that it was for the best, but deep down, the weight of her actions crushed her spirit. The mastermind, once a trusted ally, became a shadow lurking just out of reach, having vanished when the heat intensified. The betrayal of trust cut deeper than the act itself. In the aftermath, she found herself grappling with not just the horror of what she had done, but the realization of how easily she had been manipulated. The trial was a spectacle, a public dissection of a life turned upside down. As she sat in the courtroom, facing the consequences of her choices, she saw the faces of those she had hurt. Friends, family, and even strangers who had been affected by the ripple effect of her actions. Each person a reminder of the life she had shattered. She was painted as a monster, but she was also a victim of her circumstances, of her choices, and of the person who had led her astray. The legal system, while seeking justice, often overlooks the complexities of human behavior and the circumstances that drive individuals to commit heinous acts. This case serves as a stark reminder that behind every crime, there are stories untold and lives irrevocably changed. As we reflect on this tragedy, we must ask ourselves, how often do we overlook the signs of distress in those around us? What could have been done to prevent this? What support systems failed? This is a call to action for all of us to be more vigilant, more compassionate. Because the line between love and hate, trust and betrayal, is often thinner than we dare to believe. So, what drives a person to the brink? A cocktail of desperation, manipulation, and the all-consuming hunger for freedom, often leading to choices that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. This is a lesson we cannot afford to ignore.